What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yard Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers. And join me this afternoon to talk about Harold Fanin Jr., the tight end out of Bowling Green, is my guest today, Brian LaBelle. Brian, how you doing, man? And let's talk about this super impressive draft prospect. I know he's out of a smaller school, but he definitely made some big waves this past season.
He had 5 games where he had double-digit 10 or more catches, which is crazy as a tight end. I mean, if you watch Bowling Green games, he was their offense. They went to him early, they went to him often. And it wasn't just like the smaller schools. I mean, he showed out against Penn State. If you go back and watch that film, he was a problem. He was up the seam, short routes, intermediate stuff. I mean, they couldn't tackle him in the open field. He was getting away from everybody that was anywhere near him. Uh, I mean, what he was able to do with the ball in his hands after the catch is something that I don't really see normally from a tight end. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Travis Kelce because he doesn't look like the fastest guy in the world, but you're like, man, it doesn't seem like anybody can catch up to him. You know, his elusiveness is really high and his escapability is tremendous, especially for a guy his size. Because his 40 time isn't, it's not anything to scoff at. It's 4.7, but what he was able to do and how he's able to run up and down the sidelines on seemingly everybody was tremendous.
Yeah, he's got some great tools with his game, no doubt about that. Like I said, he's got the great athleticism. He's got hands for days. He was a guy who a lot of people thought should have took home the Mackey Award for top tight end in the country. But unfortunately, that was not the case for him. But that still doesn't mean anything, though. That's just
Yeah.
something you'll have in your trophy case. But I mean, he obviously was Bowling Green's top player. He was our first ever All American, consensus All American on the first team. So, congrats for him for that. And also won the MAC Offensive Player of the Year. He was the first tight end, also, Brian, in FBS history to earn conference wide MVP honors. So, I mean, he was just kind of breaking down barriers this past year with how well he played at that position. I mean, like you said, the numbers are there in terms of catch. He led the nation in catches and receiving yards. That's hard to do as a tight end in this day and age. So, I mean, he is definitely high up there. Like I say, he's got some elusiveness to him too. He's not like the fastest guy in the world, but I mean, he's very lean, kind of the more modern tight end. Definitely a receiving threat, more than a blocking threat, I would say, no doubt about that. Get him in the end zone, get him in the red zone. It's pretty much ball game. It's hard to stop this guy, and if you get him in open space, I mean, he can get away from you if he needs to. He's got some power to shove you down. He's got a little bit of elusiveness. He's not going to break your ankles like nothing crazy, but you see in the photo there, he can jump over guys. So I mean, he's really anything you need in a tight end. If you need a good receiving threat, if you need a guy who can go and get you, 80, 90, 100 catches a season, who can produce, who can get you the big first down, who can help out in clutch time, this is the guy for you. There's not a whole lot of negatives on this guy. There's not a whole lot of bad words to say, but man, he's just super, super impressive. And whoever picks up Harold Fanin Jr., Brian, is going to get an absolute stud. I mean, we talk about the Travis Kelce's, the Mark Andrews, the George Kittles of the world. But I mean, now you're kind of looking towards who's up next, and very well, Harold Fanin Jr. could be that next kind of stereotypical guy you look at. Also, Trey McBride, one of the more younger tight ends that kind of came in recent years, who has had some good work. But I mean, this is a guy who you could definitely build your team around as an offensive weapon.
I mean, other than some guy named Tyler Warren from Penn State,
Yeah.
I mean, he's phenomenal. His comps now, Falcons fans may not like this, but he reminded me a lot on film of Kyle Pitts, his
Mm-hmm.
college tape. Just their build, how they play. They have good hands, but they have really soft hands. You know what I mean? If the ball finds a way into his hands, it's not going to hit the ground. And it's just he's strong as well, and that's kind of overlooked because a lot of times like, well, he doesn't block very well or this, that, and the other. And it's like taking a guy off the field, especially the tight end position. But I'm like, hey, man, what he's able to do in the passing game more than makes up for it. I mean, he was half of Bowling Green's offense in some of these games. And I remember the first play of the game they had against Penn State, just a seam route up the middle. I mean, you got quarterback threw a phenomenal pass, but he makes a great play. He's not afraid to embrace contact. In fact, he almost seeks it out sometimes. He's looking to stiff arm a guy when he gets downfield, which I kind of like too. He's looking to, hey, I want to put this safety in the dirt. I want to put this DB in the dirt. I want to run around and run past him. But he was physical as well. Um, In the red zone too. I mean, he was always open in the red zone. He may not have scored. He scored 10 touchdowns, which is a ton of TDs. But there are plenty of times where he's getting tackled at the 6 or the 7 or the 4, and he's setting him up a first and goal. It's just there's not. He had one run that was, I think it was like a 40-yard run on 4th and 2 where he breaks to the outside. He looks like a wide receiver on a jet sweep, and you don't see that a lot. When you have a guy at your tight end position that you can do that with, it really opens up your playbook. But Harold Fanin Jr. was Bowling Green's offense this year. If you go back and you watch the tape, and I think everything he does is going to translate really well to the NFL, because this is kind of what teams are looking for now. This build, the speed, kind of jack of all trades. The blocking is so. I mean, we can go find 2 guys in free agency for our goal line set, and that's what you go out and we're okay with that. But if you can kind of make a little wiggle move, and a linebacker is a mismatch because he's too slow, and a safety is a mismatch because he's too small, and Harold Fanin Jr. fits that bill and fits the mold perfectly.
I think whoever drafts him will have him bulk up a little bit, maybe add an extra 20 pounds, because he's listed right around 230, 235.
He's light.
Yeah, he's a light guy for a tight end. He kind of is more of a receiver in a way with how skinny he is.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be the lightest tight end in the league whenever he does get drafted. I'm sure of that. There might be some anomaly out there, but I'm not sure who it could be. So I could see them they say, hey, man, bulk up, add 20 pounds of muscle, and you'll be set. Just get to 250. Just give me a little bit more. And, I don't think it's going to hurt his elusiveness and his speed. I mean, the hands are there. It's, what I mean? The hands are always going to be there. And that's the big thing with him. A lot of people also say, Brian, that, he played for Bowling Green. Well, Bowling Green also played some good competition, right? They played some top 25 opponents. And the guy you see on the screen here, Harold Fanin Jr., he averaged 141 yards per game versus top 25 opponents this past year. So, that he was in a quote-unquote weaker conference, Bowling Green, but against the good opponents, against the teams who, we're talking about that draft prospects are coming out of, that we're going to see in the first, second, third rounds, I mean, this guy was lighting them up too. He was giving it to everybody. And, I mean, he's just a very solid player. I'm excited to see where he's going to go, but man, he's if you get him, if he gets open, right? If he gets off that first step, if he gets any kind of room, and you just toss the ball his way, man, it's going to be either a catch, a first down, or a touchdown. Because he rarely, if ever, drops the ball. I think he had maybe 2 drops and like over 100 some odd balls thrown to him this year, which is great. You love to see that. And I mean, there's not much more you can say about this guy. He's just super, super impressive. Like I said, the Kyle Pitts analogy, a comparison, as a Falcons, fan, I can understand it. It does still kind of hurt my heart a little bit. But, I think wherever Harold goes, he'll either be, like I said, they're going to be between him and Tyler Warren for who's going to be the first tight end taken off the board. It's those 2 guys and everyone else at this point. Those are the top 2 in this draft class. And, it wouldn't surprise me if Harold jumps ahead of Tyler in this regard in terms of draft status, even though Tyler got him in the award category in this past year. But I love this dude. I think he's going to ball out in the National Football League wherever he goes. And he is going to be a threat, I think. As long as he stays healthy, which hopefully he can, he's going to be productive and a guy who I'm sure, man, we'll be talking about 10 years from now of just, where he's at in his game and how well he's done. I think he's got that kind of potential. Brian, what are your final thoughts here on Mr. Harold Fanin Jr.?
I mean, his numbers are better than Warren, but if you look at how they were used in their offensives collectively, what they were able to do as far as in the red zone, as far as, the percentage of targets they're getting, they're almost the same guy. Realistically, you could argue Warren's playing Ohio State, Warren's playing Iowa. Like, I get it, but I mean, Harold Fanin Jr. had balled out against Penn State. I think he had the best game all year at any tight end against Penn State. I need to double check that, but he was fantastic. He made a lot of great plays. I think if he, like you said, if he's healthy, if he's able to come in and mesh, he gets a good quarterback. I think that's a big thing too, is you get a young tight end. They really need a good quarterback to come in there and kind of show them the ropes. I think that's why Kyle was so good in his rookie year. And we've seen what happened to him. Well, yeah, Matt Ryan, who's a future Hall of Famer, throwing the football and say, hey, on that out route, cut it inside a little bit more. And I'm going to hit you on the inside shoulder, as opposed to maybe going to a bad team. We get hey, we got to develop this young guy. And it's a lot of that falls on the tight end. When you get a young quarterback or a quarterback who's maybe uncomfortable, that's your security blanket. That's the closest guy to you. So you're going to get a lot of targets, which is great for fantasy, but maybe not for building up your game. He's kind of an overlooked guy right now. I don't really know where he would end up, because tight ends typically are overlooked anyways, right? Like Tyler Warren is one of the best offensive players in this draft all around, overall, everything that he could do.
Mhm.
And I don't know if he's a top 20 guy right now. So it's hard to see where Harold Fanin Jr. goes. But I think realistically, I know we say steal or whatever all the time. The kid can play, but just based on the talent in this draft and all the defensive players, someone's going to get a really good pick, and it might be like the second round with Harold Fanin Jr. They're going to be ecstatic.
I mean, you saw where just in recent memory, look at Brock Bowers, who got drafted by the Raiders this past year. And I mean, look at the year he had. He was their best weapon on offense or defense. So it kind of proves that, regardless of the skill position, whether it's tight end or whether it's quarterback, whatever, if you can get a guy who is a game changer, right? And us here in Atlanta, we saw Brock, we saw how well he played at Georgia and all that. And it obviously it's already translated into the league. I think that, I'm kind of getting that comparison here with Harold. It's just that, he is impressive on tape. You can watch his film all day long and you won't get bored. It'd be just how insane his highlights are and how we can just get to the ball. The catches he could make, a guy, his size, his height. But I think that, he's going to have a good year in the NFL. He's going to get drafted wherever it may be, whoever it may be that takes him. Is going to get a tremendous tight end, someone who we're going to be talking about years on down the line. Well, hey, for my guest today, Brian LaBelle, appreciate you, man, coming on the show, talking about Harold Fanin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, like, follow, share, and subscribe on Facebook.